Good evening. My name is Gabby Baker, and today we will be discussing the National Football League, withstanding the test of time. Before we begin diving into the NFL's use of media, here are just a few quick facts about the organization as a whole. The NFL was founded on August 20th, 1920. There are 32 teams in the NFL, the oldest of which is the Chicago Bears. The commissioner of the NFL is Roger Goodell, who has been serving in that role since 2006. The NFL was originally comprised of other small football leagues that eventually conglomerated. More leagues were eventually absorbed over time until the present day, in which there are 32 teams. There are many different forms of media that the NFL has used over their nearly 100-year existence. Before the internet, weekly write-ups of games would appear in newspapers. Also, games would be broadcast over the radio waves. Additionally, the games were covered on television as well. The NFL has been broadcasting their games on television since 1939. This is nearly the entirety of the organization's lifespan. Today, games are still broadcast on television, and the NFL has its own television station, the NFL Network. Current NFL TV contracts are collectively worth over $3 billion a year. Only CBS, NBC, and Fox have broadcasting rights, though. Every team also has a website. Every team also uses different forms of social media, including every team having a Facebook, Twitter, and Snapchat. Teams also have appearances in print publications, including publications of their own. Teams also have magazines. The NFL players have frequented the covers of magazines since the formation of the NFL, but players have started to have a wider reach since the invention of the Super Bowl in the 1960s. Today, the NFL has its own magazine, as do many of the individual franchises. Websites replacing print is a fairly recent occurrence, but the NFL has now websites for almost everything imaginable about the sports, including gear, fan bases, tickets, merchandise, and everything else you can think of. While the games have been on film since the 40s, the common person did not have access until recently, when the NFL allowed their videos to be posted in different outlets such as Facebook and YouTube, and more recently even Snapchat. The effects of social media choices by the NFL has been fairly successful. The NFL has always been progressive with their use of media from the very beginning, so the nature of the changes has been mostly well received. People usually don't complain about being able to watch their game in a new place or being able to see the players better when new and better equipment is used. There are still plenty of similarities to the past. Games are still broadcast on television, radio, and imprinted in newspapers. There have been new additions over time, and some of the benefits with advancing tech allows for a wider reach to new fans. Some of the benefits and repercussions, though, still exist. One of the benefits is being able to reach a wider fan base, but some of the repercussions is losing some of the older crowd who are non-digital natives who may struggle with the new tech platforms after being comfortable with just listening to it on the radio or watching it on television all this time. Adaptations of technology have been on TV have been higher quality graphics and clearer equipment for TV and radio broadcasts, and even in print as well. The visual representation of the NFL brand. The logo on top is from the 1960s, while the logo on bottom is the current logo used by the league. The logo hasn't changed much over time, but has received minor updates. Over the course of time, the NFL's logo has stayed relatively the same. It's an iconic sports symbol that is easily recognized by Americans. It plays well for them to keep their logo the same. Most people know the saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The NFL has had a huge effect on our culture. As of 2016, 16.5 million people per week watched an NFL game. Some of the positive outcomes of the NFL on our culture has been local pride for teams, players becoming household names. How many of us can easily rattle off 5 NFL players without even thinking? There has been economic benefits as well. When a team moves into a town, so do businesses and all the money that comes with it. This can really bring a community into prosperity. Also, there's charity and philanthropy from organizations. Many NFL teams pride themselves on giving back to their community and make it a staple of their organization. Teams also encourage youth athletics. The NFL Play 60 program was invented to encourage young people to stay healthy and active through their youth and into adulthood. Unfortunately, not everything has been positive. Some may argue that the NFL, and sports in general, is an encouragement or propagation of violence. We can take a look at examples such as Ray Rice and Adrian Peterson, who have graced the news with their presence. Even today, just today, Reuben Foster of the 49ers was placed on an inactive reserve for allegations of domestic violence. Also, there has been political and social controversy that has come from some of the standpoints that the players take, including that of Black Lives Matter and kneeling for the national anthem. As with any organization, it will never be smooth sailing all the time. But in 2012, the NFL was hit with a huge PR nightmare when one of their players, Aaron Hernandez, was indicted for murder. Let's take a look at how the organization handled this situation. Before we dive into that, though, here's a little bit of context for the situation. On June 17, 2012, the body of Odin Lloyd was found. On June 26, Hernandez was arrested on suspicion and charged with murder. August 22nd, Hernandez was indicted for murder. He was subsequently sentenced for a life sentence without the possibility of parole. In a shocking turn of events, though, in April of 2014, Hernandez was acquitted of the 2012 murder trials. 5 days later, Hernandez was found dead, hanging from a bedsheet in his prison cell on April 19th. How the NFL handled the whole situation. The NFL decided to condemn and distance themselves from Hernandez's crime. The NFL immediately put out a statement condemning Hernandez's actions, saying also that his actions do not represent the league. What organization from a purely business standpoint would want to condone murder, aside from the obvious moral reasons that murder is wrong? Head coach Bill Belichick stated that he was shocked and disappointed with Hernandez. He also stated that he wants his players to represent the community in the right way, holding himself responsible for his players. The Patriots organization also stated that they want to be a pillar of the community. These statements were meant to put as much distance between themselves and Hernandez's crime. On top of all of this, a new controversy arrived with the death of Aaron Hernandez. A lawsuit was filed against the Patriots organization and the NFL by the family of Hernandez after his acquittal and subsequent suicide. The NFL denied responsibility for his suicide, but also claims that they want to help players who suffer from CTE, the suspected cause of suicide. After Hernandez's acquittal, the family sued the NFL for negligence in taking care of and addressing Hernandez's CTE, a degenerative brain disorder that causes violent outlashes, memory loss, difficulty concentrating, depression and apathy, and other symptoms that may have put him in a state to murder someone. The NFL decided to deny responsibility, citing that he had behavioral issues before he joined the league. Was their PR choice effective? With the legal battle still going on, a definitive answer remains to be seen. But as for the short term, the organization did weather the storm, but they did not get off scot-free by any means as to their reputation. They were about as successful as an organization could be if you really want to use the term successful when dealing with a murder charge. What was important was that they did not in any way condone Hernandez for his actions, and that was what was important. An organization as large as the NFL is very difficult to control down to a player and every member. Bill Belichick did about as much as he could as a coach, but ultimately could not stop what happened off the field. As for my recommendation for the organization should continue to encourage good behavior on and off the field across all 32 teams. In doing so, the propagation of good behavior may prevent this PR nightmare from happening again. The NFL does an excellent job with their social media and almost every available platform to connect with fans, and this is critical to their success as an organization. Thank you for listening, and have a wonderful night.